Welcome to Sports Talk with L-Beasley. It is Friday afternoon here for me in Detroit, Michigan. And since it's Friday, as you know, I'm going to do my little, college football, NFL football, pre-weekend analysis, I guess you could say. It'll tell you some games to look out for, give you my analysis on a couple games I'm watching, and whatnot. But, first I want to discuss this NBA game that went down last night between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, most people either saw the highlights or actually saw the game of San Antonio Spurs in their season opener against the New Orleans Hornets and, got a chance to see, how they look and whatnot. So this game was not about analyzing San Antonio. It was more about analyzing Oklahoma City Thunder. And, of course, Spurs ended up winning 86-84. They hit a buzzer beater, Tony Parker hit a buzzer beater, which gave the Spurs the win. Now, speaking on the Thunder, it was pretty much three things that I kept seeing on Twitter, Facebook, and all the social networks. First, it was the blame game of Kevin Durant and Westbrook. Then the other part of it was Kevin Martin can't replace James. He isn't James Harden, or they need James Harden back. Or that was the stupidest thing they ever could have did. Now, before I get on the Kevin Martin, James Harden situation, that's going to take me longer. As far as the Russell Westbrook and the Kevin Durant go, as far as the last couple plays that went down, which most people were referring to, Russell Westbrook, as far as the pass was concerned when Leonard took the ball away from Kevin Durant, I don't put that on Westbrook. To me, that's Kevin Durant's fault. Kevin Durant has to come off that screen hard and ready to catch the ball and ready to hold it, take care of it, secure it, and get in triple threat and make his move. That was very laxy-daisy on his part. I'm not blaming that on Westbrook. Now, could it have been a better elite pass? Of course. But that was a pretty good pass that I felt like Durant messed up. Everybody has their opinion. I'm not even going to focus on that. So, going into the last play, that's when I get a little bit more mad at Russell Westbrook, but not just Russell Westbrook, but the entire defense of Oklahoma City Thunder, which I'm going to get into also in a minute, was, Tony Parker pretty much had a wide open jump shot due to miscommunication between the Oklahoma City Thunder defense and also just the fact that Russell Westbrook was nowhere near Tony Parker, which pissed me off. But as far as Russell Westbrook goes, he had 18 points, he had 5 assists, he had 8 rebounds, but he also had 6 turnovers. That's the problem that bothers me, the 6 turnovers, and the fact that he shot 3 more shots than Kevin Durant did. But, my whole thing with Russell Westbrook is I'm not expecting miracles with him overnight. Quite frankly, I'm not expecting him to change much this season. I'm really not. I wasn't one of those people who came into the season thinking Russell Westbrook is going to be a totally different guy. I don't even know if he's capable of being that guy at this point. And when I say that guy, what I mean basically is I'm not sure if he can be that point guard that people want him to be so bad. And that's the thing that people have to realize. He's not a point guard. He's never been a point guard. He's always been a 2 guard. He came to Oklahoma City and he took on the role of point guard, and now he has to understand, hey, that ball needs to be in my boy Kevin Durant's hand. It doesn't mean that I can't have my moment to shine, but those moments, at least as of right now, are not it. You got to give it to Kevin Durant. But I just don't see Russell Westbrook. I think that's just Russell Westbrook. That's Russell Westbrook being Russell Westbrook, in my opinion. So my problem is the turnovers. Because the turnovers are points that, obviously you always wonder that, could have been avoided by either Oklahoma City, or points that could have been, not points that could have been avoided by Oklahoma City, points that could have been avoided by San Antonio, or points that could have been scored by Oklahoma City. So, of course, the turnovers is bad, and like I said, the fact that he is turning the ball over 6 times in the game is not good. I didn't like that. As far as Kevin Durant, my main problem with Kevin Durant really wasn't him scoring-wise. I was more irritated that I saw him do a better job of creating this game, which was great. I wanted to see that. But I really wanted to see him, do more, move without the ball better. He still is shying away from contact on a fast break, which I don't understand. That's one thing about Kevin Durant. As long as he is, as versatile as he is, it's almost like he knows he's skinny. He does not go into contact. And half the time, he's in, that's one thing I love about Russell. He goes for the contact. My problem with Russell is he cries when he doesn't get the foul instead of just getting back on defense. But Kevin Durant, that's something I'm looking for him to do more, because I think that's going to help him more. He has to go into contact. He has to be more aggressive. And that's part of the reason Tim was able to get that big block that was on SportsCenter earlier today, because of the fact that he's shying away. It's like, hey, go into his body, dunk it like you mean it, go to that hole like you want the basket. And like I said, obviously I want to see Kevin Durant learn to move better without the ball. I still want to see him, improve that post game as time goes on. But the part that really pissed me off was the Kevin Martin, James Harden conversation. And just the Oklahoma City without James Harden. Kevin Martin is not James Harden. We knew that. Anybody who knows the game of basketball even a little bit knows that James Harden and Kevin Martin are not the same guy. They're not. But that was not the point of this trade. The point of this trade was not to bring in another James Harden. The point was to bring in another piece that they can hopefully fit to the way that they play and can add another person scoring. Kevin Martin played great. He shot 40% from the field. He shot 50% from three. He had, a couple rebounds, had about 5 assists. He only had 1 turnover, and he ended up having 15 points in the game. He did his role. He did what he's supposed to do. One thing I love about Kevin Martin is he's able to create without the ball, which hopefully that'll rub off on Kevin Durant. But he knows his role. And it's going to take a minute for this team to adjust. But while everybody wants to talk about the blame Russell Westbrook, blame Kevin Durant, or Kevin Martin isn't James Harden, as I said on Twitter and as I said before, it cannot just be about those 3 players. It cannot just be about them. Serge Ibaka, who they did give a contract extension to, it's time for him to step up. It's no more excuses. There's no reason with his height and his size and his athletic ability he should only have 4 points. He only had 2 blocks yesterday. He only had 9 rebounds. He's a walking double-double, if not a triple-double. There's no reason for Serge Ibaka to only have 4 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks yesterday. That was ridiculous. Other players gonna have to step up. Nick Collison did not play well. Only 6 points. His role gonna have to step up. Eric Maynard played okay, but even his role is gonna have to step up. Hasheem Thabeet role is going to have to step up. Me personally, I would like to see them play Jeremy Lamb and Perry Jones because I think they're just going to bring some youth to you, some intensity, and I don't think they're going to be afraid to go take some shots. But that was my problem. Everybody wanted to get on they so bad without James Harden. If this had been Oklahoma City playing at their best, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation. But the fact is, I've said this so many times before. First of all, Oklahoma City does not have a post threat at all, which is sad. But there's still no excuse with the players they have. Like I said, in Serge Ibaka, in Nick Collison, in Hasheem Thabeet, Eric Maynard, Cephalosha, Perkins. Am I saying all these guys need to score 20 points? No. I'm saying they need to play their role. The only person I'm asking to step up, I would say probably the most offensively, is Serge Ibaka. And that's not me asking because I want him to. It's because he needs to. He should want to. Like I said, you the one who got the contract extension. Let's be real. If they don't pay you, they might be paying James Harden right now. So let's make that very clear. Like I said, that was really my problem. Everybody else wanted to get on Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook or get on Kevin Martin, who played well his first game. Everybody wanted to get on that instead of really looking at the thing, which this team has to step up as a whole. I don't care if James Harden is there or not. I still don't think they win that game if James Harden is there. I'm just being real. And that's another thing. Quit saying they would have won that game if James Harden was there. We don't know what the heck would have happened if James Harden was there. You may like to think they would have won the game. We don't truly know. So stop with that what if, and but. Okay? Deal with what you got. And the point is, your team did not step up as a whole. There's no reason that, once again, and like I said, the players that y'all dogging were the ones who stepped up. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Martin. And I'm not saying Russell Westbrook was perfect. Like I said, I addressed what I had my issues with him, but I'm also not shocked either. And like I said, quit doing this one game success or fail. Like I said, it's the same thing people did with James Harden. He go crazy his first game against the Pistons. Everybody all of a sudden, oh my God, James Harden, he was getting held back. That was his role on the team. And that's what you have to do. On certain situations, you get a chance to be the starter. It's like on other situations, you're going to be held back. Or not even held back. You have to play your role. Somebody say Kevin Martin is about to be held back at Oklahoma City. He's not being held back. That's his role. And if he doesn't want to do it, he had the option to leave. And let's keep in mind, James Harden wanted to stay. He didn't care about that. He liked his role for as far as we knew. He never complained about his role. But my whole thing with that is, quit with that one game hit success. This is one game. A tough fought game by Oklahoma City. They did not come in here and get blown out. They played a hard, tough game that San Antonio allowed them to get back into. And like I said, I'm not saying Kevin Durant didn't make mistakes. I'm not saying Russell Westbrook don't need work. I'm not saying Kevin Martin is a beast all of a sudden because he had a good debut. I'm saying these things are going to take time. But at the end of the day, if I'm an Oklahoma City fan, quit blaming everything on those 3 players or the fact that you don't have James Harden and look at the rest of this dang on team. And as I said before, even if the Thunder do have a bad year, which I said Thunder could have a down year, just even if they do, the thing they got in this is Perry Jones and Jeremy Lamb, which they got from Houston in the trade. They also got Perry Jones in the draft. And on top of that, they also got 2 first-round picks in next year's draft, which they can use to go get that low post threat that they need, or go get that other creator, or whatever they need. So like I said, even if this is a down year, it still was a good move towards the future. Having one down year does not make you horrible. And like I said, I don't really think they're going to have a down year. They might have a down year compared to what they've been able to do, but I still think the Thunder are going to be fine. And like I said, this one game hit success. Oh man, they play, focus on your team. Like I said, we get into this 20 games from now and this is still some issues that's going around, then let's start talking about this. But my whole thing is, look at the Oklahoma City team. It's not just about James Harden. Y'all crack me up with that. One game, everybody lose their mind. Oh, this team is done. Oh, it's not. Oh man, you should have kept James. After one game, I'm not saying James Harden wouldn't have done, helped him out. Of course he would have. But like I said, just like with James Harden, after one game, he earned his $80 million contract. You earned your $80 million contract on one game. Back the way I was raised and the way I learned to analyze the game, you earn it by helping improve your team's chances to win a championship every year. Getting Houston to the playoffs. So, helping them to first get to win it. Helping them get into the playoffs. Then helping them to get farther and farther. That's how you're going to earn my $80 million personally. Not off no one game that I believe almost any player can do at his level of play. I'm not saying that James Harden isn't a beast, because I think he is. I think he has to show me he could be a consistent beast on a consistent level, and he's going to get challenged here. And that's good at Houston that he's going to get challenged. And I'm looking forward to see how he responds. And I'm not saying he's not a beast. I'm saying just calm down with the one game hit success or fail. Continue to analyze. Continue to look at the games. This is one game. And like I said, if you're an Oklahoma City fan, look at your own dang on team. Quit just making it about 3 players. Look at the entire squad and then get back to me. Because I guarantee you, if Ibaka steps up, they win that game. If Nick Collison steps up, they win that game. Period. Point blank. Somebody else has to step up. And that, quite frankly, that was the problem last year too. Other players have to step up on a consistent basis. One of the reasons they went far was because Cephalosha, Serge Ibaka, Nick Collison stepped up. James Harden stepped up too, but also other teammates stepped up, which is what helped them. And the reason they lost to the Heat was because all that support went down the drain in the finals. Serge Ibaka was nowhere to be found. Cephalosha was nowhere to be found. Nick Collison was nowhere to be found. James Harden was nowhere to be found. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just speaking the truth. That's one of the main reasons the Thunder lost, because nobody showed up in the the championship, but they showed out throughout the playoffs. That team has to step up as a whole. Point blank, period. I'm just saying. Moving on to the NFL. Sorry, I had to go on my little rant right there. Moving on to the NFL. It's plenty of games going on this week, but it's 4 in particular that I'm looking at. First, I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers and the Washington Redskins. Why? Because first, this is the Heisman Trophy, possibly back-to-back, possibly also future Rookie of the Year, battle. You got the last 2 years, basically, the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners squaring off. You got Cam Newton, and you got RG3, also known as Robert Griffin III. So at the end of the day, I'm really just looking forward to this game to see how both teams are going to play. Obviously, both teams have struggled this season for their own reasons, but if I'm the Redskins, you want to establish the running game. That's the Redskins. That continues to be one of the most effective ground attacks in the league, averaging 5.3 yards a game, per attempt, and 160 yards per contest. So, Carolina's solid up front, but I don't think they can be I think they're inconsistent. I think they're inconsistent defending the run. So if I'm the Redskins, get the running game going. And once again, the receivers have to step up and help out RG3. RG3 is doing his job. I need the receivers to step up and help him out. That's what I'm looking for in that game. Other receivers have to step up. If I'm the Carolina Panthers, you just got to get the team together. You still have your run game. As for now, you still have your run game. So hopefully they can get their run game going. But if I'm Cam Newton, you got to get the air game going. They're going through some injury issues. Take advantage. Take advantage of that opportunity through the air. But, if the Redskins are likely concerned about slowing down Carolina's rush attack, this is the game about, to me, slowing down the rushing attack and then what quarterback can step up and what receivers are going to also help their quarterback step up. Because that's really been the thing. Both teams have had effective running games this season, but when it comes down to the passing and the receiving side of it, it's either the quarterback is not doing what he's supposed to do or the receivers are not doing what they're supposed to do. In the case of Redskins, it's been more the receivers are not doing what they're supposed to do. But that's what I'm looking for mainly in that game. Like I said, establishing the running game. Like I said, neither team, in my opinion, has like an astounding defense. But I'm looking at establishing the running game early for both teams, but definitely for the Redskins. And at the end of the day, just seeing which quarterback can step up, possibly in the clutch, because this could come down to a clutch game. The other game I'm looking out for is the Minnesota Vikings versus the Seattle Seahawks. And the main reason I'm looking at this game is because both teams are coming off losses. They didn't necessarily end the first half of the season the way they wanted, so now they have a chance to make it up in the second half. Now, going into this game, you feature the NFL's top rushers, with first Adrian Peterson, who has 775 yards rushing this year, so far anyway, and then Marshawn Lynch of Seattle, who has 757 yards so far this year. Both players are coming off their second straight 100-yard game, but the big thing is the quarterbacks, and not only the quarterbacks, but the defense. For me personally, I want to see Seattle's secondary be physical with the Minnesota receivers. Seattle has the league's probably, I would say, maybe the most physical, intimidating secondary players, because they're a combination of, size, speed and whatnot. So the Seattle cornerbacks match up virtually any receiver pretty much in the NFL. So they love to play physical style. They like to disrupt the receivers' routes, and that's what they need to do, and that's what they need to exactly do with this Minnesota team, especially since Christian Ponder has had a problem hanging on to the ball. He's thrown all 7 of his interceptions in the last 4 games, and unless that passing game gets going, I think Seattle can win this game. And that's really going to be the key for Seattle, is those DBs, those safeties, that entire secondary has to step up. Defensive coordinator for Seattle has used a lot of off-coverage zones, so his defensive back can use their instincts and tackling skills. So, to limit, basically that's to limit yards after the catch. So I'm anticipating he's going to stick with that, but even if he goes to man, that is where, in my opinion, the game is going to be won for the Seattle Seahawks. It's through the defense. If you can kick Christian Ponder to struggle and continue to struggle, like I said, like he's been doing in the last 4 games, once again throwing all his 7 interceptions in the last 4 games, you can do that. The Vikings have had 10 turnovers in those contests after having 4 in the first 4. So that's what you want to do. You want to get them to turn over the ball. Obviously it's hard to contain Adrian Peterson, so I'm not really going to ask you to do that. Do your best to slow him down. But at the end of the day, if Russell Wilson just plays smart, does good passes, I'm expecting Sidney Rice to get a lot of passes because obviously receivers keep dropping like flies over on Seattle. But hopefully, they can get their passing game going. But Seattle should be able to win this game. Like I said, the defense steps up. It's mainly talking about the secondary right now. If they can continue to make Christian Ponder and those receivers struggle, they should be able to win this game as long as Russell Wilson has a pretty good game as well. And obviously, I'm not really too concerned about Marshawn Lynch or Adrian Peterson having a bad game. So that's what I'm looking for in that game. Dallas Cowboys versus the Atlanta Falcons. And pretty much in this game, I'm really kind of just watching because Atlanta's undefeated. That's been the really big thing is when are they going to lose and who are they going to lose to if they lose, So the whole thing I'm looking for in this game, as far as the Falcons, get Turner going early. If I'm the Falcons, get Michael Turner going early. He is a workhorse back who thrives on getting a lot of carries. He's only had 100-yard game this season. It seems, in my opinion, like he's due a big game. So why not against the Dallas Cowboys? You playing at home, I'll let him have his big game. Like I said, that strong run game will help Atlanta loosen things up in the back end for the passing game to control the clock, which is exactly what they want to do. So if I'm Atlanta, get Turner going early, man. As far as Dallas goes, at least offensively, just stop turning the ball over. That's been y'all main issue. So Tony Romo, it seems like he has some of his best numbers, but he'll have 5 or 6 interceptions or 4 interceptions to go along with it. That running game also has to step up. That's been one thing about this, the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, I personally believe anytime you're one-dimensional, your team is going to struggle, and that seems to be the case. DeMarco Murray, obviously he's been out, unfortunately, but, it's time for Felix Jones. Got to step up. And like I said, the receiving crew and the quarterback of Dallas, talking about Tony Romo, and yes, his receiving crew got to step up. Dez Bryant, you showed us some stuff last week. Hopefully it continues. Kevin Ogletree, if he's able to play, hopefully he can show us some stuff. Miles Austin. This offense has to get going for this team to be successful. Because, the defense has done their jobs somewhat. They hold games at times. I wouldn't call them a great defense, but they do what they're supposed to do at times. But at the end of the day, a lot of times you keep your defense on and off the field consistently just because y'all can't hold on to the ball long enough. So, if I'm Atlanta, get the running game going because that's going to open up your passing game. If I'm Dallas, just don't turn the ball over, and hopefully you guys can get the running game going also, because like I said, that's been an issue with you guys. And then the last game I'm really just looking forward to is the Steelers versus the New York Giants, mainly because it's two Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in Ben Roethlisberger and Eli. But I really just want to see who can control the clock. That's what I've been looking for, and who can what word could I use? Who can score touchdowns and take advantage of the opportunities given to them. To me, that's been a problem with both Pittsburgh and the New York Giants, but definitely the New York Giants. New York Giants have done a great job of getting downfield generally, but for whatever reason, when they get in the red zone at times, they just continue to struggle and have to keep settling for these field goals, which allows them to stay in these close games like they had to do last week. And that's really what I want to see them do. I want to see them control the clock. I want to see them balance, and I want to see them execute on drives, especially once they get in the red zone. The Giants ranked 24th on defense and have been exploited with big plays throughout the air for much of the season. So, the Steelers have to develop a ground attack. They have developed a ground attack, considering all the injuries they've had, they have developed a ground attack. So now you're going against, like I said, being balanced. And if I'm Ben Roethlisberger, hopefully your running back can get going. Like I said, I think, who is it? Dwyer. He's done a good job of, like I said, in the absence of Rashad Mendenhall and whatnot, he's done a good job of keeping the running game going. But it's all about being balanced and having clock management. Whoever can do that the best is probably going to end up winning this game. Like I said, take advantage of the opportunities. If you get in the red zone, don't always settle for field goals. And obviously, this always still comes down to defense. Like I said, New York Giants have have been exploited with big plays through the air, which is a cause for concern. But like I said, when you become balanced and you control the clock, it can work in your favor. So that's what I'm really looking forward to in this game, just seeing who can control the clock with balance. That's my main thing looking forward to this game. And obviously there's other games to just, to watch. Obviously, my Detroit Lions play the Jaguars, things of that nature. So, obviously it's more games to see. I think Green Bay plays the Cardinals and whatnot. So it's plenty other games to see, but those are the 4 games I'm looking at. Moving on to the college side of things, it's 3 games in particular that stick out to me. First, the Alabama Crimson Tide versus the LSU Tigers. Now, everybody knows this is a rivalry. This was last year's national championship battle. Some people think it could be that again, but pray it's not. But as far as this game goes, my main question for LSU is defense. Can you defend this Alabama Crimson Tide 2-dimensional team who has been doing wonderful on their first, they've been doing wonderful on the run game. They've been doing pretty wonderful in the passing game. As far as points scored, they're 12th in the NCAA, so they don't have a problem scoring points. They've been averaging 40.6 points per game. So if I'm LSU, the big question is, can you defend, man? You got to be able to stop them. Which, you showed us that last year in the regular season that, you could hold them. You showed us that last year. You can defend them, but, can you defend this team? Because that's going to be the key. Like I said, passing yards, like I said, they average 225 passing yards a game. They average about 200 rushing yards a game. So this is a very balanced offense that you're going to have to stop. So if I'm LSU, that's the big thing. And the whole question is, if you can't stop them from scoring, can you outscore them? And I personally don't think you can outscore Alabama. So the key thing for LSU is to play defense and stop this team from scoring. If you let Alabama score, I think they're going to win. I quite frankly believe that. If I'm Alabama, I'm really watching their offense this game. I think their defense is still going to be fine, but I really want to see the offense and just see how they play. I really want to see how the offense is going to play. You're going against a nice, legit defense in LSU, so let's see how you play. And that's what I'm looking at. Oklahoma State, Kansas State. I'm more looking towards this game just because the main fact that, a win for K-State means that this is one step closer to a possible BCS National Championship game bid. That's really what I'm looking at. These are 2 teams who, have had impressive seasons. Oklahoma State has had that, had a couple bumps in the road, but I really just want to see if Kansas State can really remain undefeated. That's really the main reason I'm watching the game, is really just to see if Kansas State can remain undefeated. And the other big game that I'm looking forward to is the Oregon Ducks versus the USC Trojans. And, going into this game, if I'm USC, the way to win this game is you need to limit mistakes on both sides of the ball. Offensively, it's been turnovers, and there's no reason for you guys to have turnovers. Matt Barkley just has to do a better job of stepping up. There's no reason with the dynamic duo of Marquise Lee and Robert Woods as your receivers. Hey, man, take care of the ball and get them the ball when needed, and you'll be successful. The big question, obviously, with USC at times really can just be, I guess you could say, well, no, I can't really say that either. I mean, really, no. USC, is really just turning the ball over. If I'm USC, don't turn the ball over. But defensively, you guys have allowed some big plays this year, and you got to stay on top of that. And obviously, you're going against the fast-paced Oregon Ducks, who have more speed than known demand. So if I'm USC, that's y'all key to winning. Oregon, once again, y'all another team who can't afford to lose. If I'm Oregon, you want to show that you can beat this team. No question. They already got 2 losses under their belt, like I said, which could hurt you guys in as far as the bidding goes later on, just because of the fact that USC did lose 2 games already. But if I'm Oregon, come in here and handle business, pick them apart. You got the speed, you got the skills, you got the skill players to do it, but at the end of the day, I really want to see how Oregon's going to defend that dynamic duo passing receiving crew of Lee and Woods. I'm sorry, I really want to see how they're going to perform, because that's been something I've been thinking about. But at the end of the day, if USC can limit mistakes on both sides of the ball, USC should win this game. But I'm going with Oregon in this one. I just think Oregon's coming in with the right mindset, and I think they're coming in with a way to possibly, or at least try to contain the dynamic receivers, Lee and Woods. But at the end of the day, they can get some pressure on Barkley and cause him to make some tough decisions and make some mistakes. They should be able to win this game, so it's going to be a good one. Once again, thank you for tuning in to this segment of Sports Talk with L-Beasley. I hope you enjoyed the show. Once again, I had to go on another rant. It's just becoming a habit. Yeah. Y'all make me do it. But anyway, thank you making for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree. I know somebody agree, I know somebody disagree. So let me know what you think of the show. If you agree, if you disagree. If you have a topic you want me to discuss, or something specifically you want me to discuss, whether it's a team, a player, an issue, a coach, whatever, let me know. I'm always happy to oblige my fans as far as topic requests. You want me to be a guest on your show, or if you want to be a guest on my show, please contact me. All my contact information is on the end at the credits. Go check out MoneyBallSportswear.com. They are a huge supporter of Sports Talk with L-Beasley and me, period. So go check them out. You're going to love their clothes. The only way to ball is Moneyball. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you guys Monday.